Speaking of gross things that I hate, let's talk about some goiter sauce, everybody.
Let's do it. Very good segment.
Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddy Grace Webben.
And today we will be playing part 2 of Anachronox, covering up until we leave the titular planet. It's another really small episode, but the dungeons were getting long and we had a busy week, so sue us. Me and Maddy have...
Please don't sue us.
Me and Maddy have basically infinite irons and a not infinite fire, so we agreed when we were deciding to do this game that we were going to make it 20 episodes if it shook out that way, so that we could just chill.
We were going to keep our
beans
as cool as possible.
Absolutely. Because we make the rules, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. So, before we get to all of that, how was your week, guys?
How's it bripping, Eli?
I don't even remember what happened. Nothing's really been going on in my life. I'm getting more excited for the trip I'm going to be taking in a couple of weeks. So, there's that.
What's the trip? Have you told us what this trip is?
I haven't told the podcast, but I'm going to New Orleans with my family.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's based and red-pilled.
Thank you. I try. My parents have timeshare, and for the one that we're going to this year, like every other year, they can choose a different place to go. They had their honeymoon in New Orleans, so they like to go back every now and then. And Ken and I get free lodging. The place is called the Quarter House. It's in the French Quarter. It's a historic building. It's really, really pretty.
Props on your parents for actually using their timeshare.
Having a timeshare is such a thing that parents have.
It is.
They really, they get their money's worth out of it. Like, we were going to go to New Orleans last year, and we were going to do it despite COVID, but then there was a fire in the Quarter House.
Uh-oh.
And so they had to do renovations, and they were going to give us a different timeshare, but it was going to be a mile outside of the French Quarter. Like, you don't want to have to drive into the fucking French Quarter. It's just... It doesn't work so great. So we just decided to skip it and do New Orleans this year. And I haven't been able to stay for any significant period of time there. At most, I've been there for like a couple of nights. So I'm really excited to be able to check out more of the city, and like my parents are real into it, so they know their way around and stuff like that, and it's one of the few times a year I get to see my parents, so I'm really looking forward to it. And
I was trying to remember the name of the sub shop that we went to while we were there to tell you to get that, but I can't remember it. And the random article I found of the best sub shops in downtown New Orleans did not list it, so that article is a lie. Because it didn't list the really good one, but
well, if you do think of it, let me know. We're
also
definitely gonna
make sure you drink Barks root beer while you're there, because that's where it's from, and I don't like root
delicious. Beer. I fucking hate root beer.
What?
Go be wrong somewhere else.
Yeah. I don't even think you should be allowed in New Orleans, personally.
We're gonna go to Cafe Du Monde and get beignets and do lots of walking around and drinking, because that's what you do in New Orleans.
That's what you do in New Orleans.
You walk around and you drink.
Which is, for the record, something that should be legal everywhere in the country. The fact that it's not is insane.
Yeah.
one of the dumbest things about this country, and that's a high bar.
When we were there last, we had a walking tour of the city, or of the French Quarter, and like they pointed out a whole bunch of different places. We stopped at Pat O'Brien's, which is the birthplace of the hurricane, if you didn't know. And by hurricane, I mean the alcoholic beverage, not Katrina.
How could they do that? Can't believe they invented hurricanes.
I know, right? But like they told us the history of why the hurricane came about, and it was because of Prohibition, and rum was like the only liquor that the bootleggers could manage to get into the country and shit. And yeah, and then we got big ass hurricanes, and we walked around New Orleans while we were drinking them. And Ken and I would like to relive that.
That sounds awesome.
Looking forward to it.
What about you, Maddy? How's your week?
I don't know. I actually spent most of it like depressed. Basically, my emotions have been rough for like 2 weeks or so, and so a lot of it was like freaking out about something or other, and then trying to identify like why I was having these emotions, aside from just like, chemicals, because chemicals, I do suspect part of it's chemicals, but not all of it, right? There are certainly proximate causes, and then trying to figure out what can I do to change this, right? And basically I figured out that, not to get too psychoanalysis on myself or whatever, this isn't just two of Xenogears, but basically I realized that the choices I made in my life, the things I'm doing right now in my life, are really restricting my freedom, which that doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing them. I have certain goals that I'm pursuing, and I need to pursue them, like, period. I'm not going to not, right? But it does mean that, like, for example, I have a night shift at work, so I can't hang out with people in the evening. So I have, I spend time with my partner on Sunday nights. So that leaves Saturday night. So, like, if I want to hang out with a friend or get drinks or do something else, I have Saturday night. That's the day I have to do something. And if it turns out I'm tired, or if it turns out I have a lot of, emails I gotta write or something, then I don't have that either, because I gotta do it. So it's just very constricting, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when the pandemic, everything's opening up, right? Post vaccine and stuff like that, which, you can talk about whether things are opening up too fast or not. But, like, the fact is, people are now, after a year and a half of being inside and having a very small world, going out and having new experiences and stuff, right? So me, like, not doing that and just being like, anybody want to hang out for, like, anybody want to hang out between, like, noon and 3 p.m. on Thursday, because that's my free time. It's just very restrictive, and it's getting to me. So I'm trying to make some changes, find some wiggle room around the edges, figure out what I can do. There's a few major things that I can't do, such as quit my night job. I can't do that. But there are other things that I can do here and there. So I've been working through it, and also part of it I do think is just some kind of chemical imbalance thing that I could maybe work on in the future, but bleh, it's a lot.
Well, as we discussed before we started recording, that your chemical imbalance is not enough coffee today. So
yes,
drink more coffee. Just
more caffeine, jeans.
Yeah. Other than that, though,
ABDC, always be drinking coffee.
Funny enough, other than that, other than what's going on inside of my head, which is not good, everything else in my life is awesome. I said there was some really exciting developments last week, and there have been even more exciting developments that I, again, can't say anything about, which is, I'm sure, annoying to everyone listening. This is just like, oh yeah, this is the season of RPG Book Club where Maddy keeps saying that something cool is happening, but won't tell us what it is. Yeah, like, really exciting stuff. Also really positive developments. I won't go into how, but I'm not going to explain how, but I may have accidentally found a couple $100 today.
Love that.
Like that I didn't realize was available. You know what I mean? Like, oh, look at that. that's cool. So just stuff like that. No, things are dope. Things are dope. It's fine. My brain is being dumb, but also I just gotta friggin' deal with it, right? So yeah, that's my week. Also I came this close starting to play The Last of Us, but did not yet. So at some point I will do that, and it will be a really fun time.
I thought of something I did this week that somehow I completely forgot. I went tubing with a friend.
Oh, yay.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We went down to Rock and River rides in New Braunfels and like an hour and a half toward the 2-hour mark, and a torrential downpour with lightning and thunder started.
Oh my gosh.
It was terrifying. But we got out and we waited for the storm to pass, and then we made our way to the 2-hour mark and went, we're done. And it set my allergies off really bad for some reason. And
nice.
Boy, I was absolutely miserable. It was great.
Oh, sorry, I do have two more things, actually. I watched 2 movies in the last week. One was Blade Runner, which I've seen a billion times. I saw it again. It's still a masterpiece. It's still one of the greatest movies of all time. However, I have a bit of a different read. This is not really a spoiler at all. If you know anything about Blade Runner, you know that it's about artificial robot humans who look just like real humans, and it's hard to tell if someone is really a human or not. And one of the big twists, or not really twists, one of the big maybe twists, is that the main character may or may not be a robot. A robot, and at the end of the movie, it is left very ambiguous as to whether or not he's a robot. I've always been of the opinion that the plot and the themes of the movie are way better if he is not a robot, which is one reason why which is the only thing I don't like about the final cut version of the movie, which is otherwise the best version of the movie, because it kind of gives you, I think, pretty irrefutable proof that he is a robot. Kind of. It's open to interpretation, but like it's pretty blunt. But you know what? I'm not gonna go into why, but me and my partner were talking, and there's actually a lot of really interesting stuff that comes up if he is a robot, actually. I had previously not been a fan of that interpretation, but the more I've been thinking about it, the more it actually opens up a lot of really interesting cans of worms. And there's a lot of cool sort of political lenses you can read it through. Also, there is a lot of lines that can be interpreted in that way, besides the really, really obvious one. And those lines are really neat to think about. So yeah, that's something that's cool. If you haven't watched Blade Runner before, go watch it. It's a seriously fantastic movie. It's some of the best production design that's ever been in a film, just period. Like, holy moly, the way they use sets and the way that they use sets and lighting and miniatures and sound and atmosphere in that movie is just beyond words.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about Blade Runner is, like, it is incredibly well shot, cinematography, like the philosophical questions it raises. All of these things are amazing, and it is also a movie with like a half-naked, very 80s man at the end, just dripping wet in the most 80s way possible,
holding a dove in one hand.
80s action movies were really gay.
It's like probably 93% of the movie is impeccably timeless, and you can watch it whenever. But that last 7%, you're like, oh yeah, this came out in the 80s. Sorry, we gotta live through the 80s for a couple of scenes.
That's totally true. But also, what's cool about it is that you mentioned, like, I feel like when a lot of people watch this movie, they come back thinking like, oh, I thought this movie was super deep, but it really isn't. Here's the thing. The movie's plot brings up so many outrageously interesting questions of the... Sam said philosophical, and I'm not denying that, but I also would add more so of the highly political nature. But they're not addressed at all. They're not addressed. It is just like, if you watch the movie and the events of the plot and the visuals and a lot of the theme and a lot of the sort of motifs, they're just there. They just lay it all out. And making any sense of it is entirely up to you and the person you're talking to. The movie doesn't have characters saying the theme of the movie, you know. The characters are not even aware, basically. The characters aren't even aware of a lot of the issues with what they're experiencing. It's something that is entirely on us, the viewers, which is actually a remarkably subtle movie where you can just interpret it from a variety of lenses. Which anyway, it's a great movie. The other movie I watched was Black Widow. I don't know, 2.5 stars out of 4. It's fine. It's whatever. The action scenes were good. I thought look, I know these movies are all just imperialist propaganda, and I don't know if they're getting worse or if I'm just getting more sensitive to it, but this one was really bad. The whole movie was just like, hey, you know how Russians don't like freedom? Did you know that, unlike Americans, Russians hate freedom? Also, we're treating them like they're the Soviet Union, despite the fact that this movie takes place in 2016. We never say the phrase Soviet Union. We say Russia, and presumably the Soviet Union collapsed in the 90s, but like we don't really differentiate them as being separate concepts. And also they definitely hate freedom. And also it's only bad to kidnap children and brainwash them if it's girls, because that's misogyny. But that's the only reason it's bad.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been basically...
I'm exaggerating a little bit, but honestly, not much. I've been getting progressively more upset with the movie since I watched it 2 days ago.
Yeah, I've been... Like, I want to see it because I'm a shill, but I don't really want to see it. Not because... Like, a lot of people that look like me don't want to watch it because it's a girl movie. I just... don't want to watch it because I feel the MCU didn't deserve a Black Widow movie because it didn't treat Black Widow good, and the fact that they only gave it to her after she died kind of just doesn't sit right with me, and it makes it not have any stakes because she's already dead. Spoilers for a movie that came out like 4 years ago, but like she's already dead, so it doesn't matter. There's nothing they could do in it to make it matter, really. So I don't know if I'll ever watch it.
That is also part of the movie. Yeah, I don't know. I think you should watch it. I mean, you're gonna watch all these damn movies anyway. You might as well watch one more. That's my thought process. But yeah, no, it was. It was just trying to do the whole like we're feminist thing, and we're talking about how women are being oppressed, and it just does it in the most ham-fistedly obnoxious way possible. That, in my opinion, just said nothing of any nature, and like it was very much like bad things happen because a single bad person is crazy and bad, and if we stop the bad person, then the bad things will stop happening. I don't want to spoil one of the worst things about it, but well, I'm not going to say. There's just a really, really dumb twist that will make you say, what the heck? And the more you think about it, the more annoying it is. Anyway, this has been the Maddy Grace is Mad at Movies update. If, believe it or not, I do actually like movies. I like most of them. But, you know.
Speaking of the supposed to be feminist movie doesn't quite do it right because of its politics. So I'm eating my vegetables Doctor Who because the new season is starting soon, and I'm not current, and I want to be current in time. And I had been going really hard into the audio dramas, and I'm like, why am I in such a Doctor Who kick? And there's an entire season of the show that I haven't seen, so let me eat my vegetables and do it. And the episode I watched today is the epitome of the problem with it, and the problem is not that they tried to be woke and make everyone diverse, because that's what everyone on the internet says. The problem is they're using the wokeness as set dressing and not actually being woke at all.
That's exactly how Black Widow is.
Yeah, so the episode today that I watched today is first off, just I have to address the deep lore nerd in the way they remade this episode. The episode that they did is a Cyberman story where Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, meets Cyberman, realizes that it is a robotic automaton that is made out of a bunch of different people's parts, and she goes, "Oh my god, I have a great idea for a story." They did that with the eighth.
Stupid.
It's stupid, but it's like. It's campy, par for the course Doctor Who stuff. Well, they did that with the Eighth Doctor in like 2007-ish in audio, and him and Mary Shelley went on several adventures together, and the thing was a focus on how kick-ass this girl in history was in a time where every girl that wrote books used a pen name and she didn't, and she still did all this cool stuff because girls are awesome. Hell yeah. Positive thing. This one, however, besides the fact that it erases the validity of one of my favorite sets of stories because you can't do this story twice and it makes sense. I mean, you can timey-wimey. They've hand waved it already. But and this time it's not like the whole point of the episode is obviously we need to make Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, meet the Cyberman, the monsters based on Frankenstein. That's our big joke point of the episode. So then why is it Percy Shelley, her husband, that I didn't even know was a writer?
He is actually an extremely famous poet.
Yeah, I've found from this episode that he's an extremely famous poet and all of this stuff, but he's such a famous poet that his poems inspiring people makes him a fixed point in time, and so the doctor has to save his life to do ABC XYZ and all of this stuff, and it suddenly gets into like capitals all around great men of history. History stuff, and it's like at the expense of Mary Shelley, where it's obviously was her episode and she's basically not even fucking in it because everything is focused around how important her husband is, and they do this a lot. Like the current TARDIS team is the Doctor, a girl for the first time, the I don't know anything so I ask a lot of questions companion, which is usually a blonde girl, is a black man this time. Awesome. The I know a lot of things and I'm a go-getter and I get shit done companion, which is usually a white man, is now an Indian woman. Awesome. And then the comic relief character, which is usually a robot, is this old white man named Graham. Well, the only one of those people with character development is Graham, because his wife, who is a black woman, gets fridged in his first episode. And it's like all of this, like, so close, but not actually quite there sort of stuff with it. And I've been having a lot of feelings. And I also have feelings because the twist at the end of this season, not that either of you care, is that the Doctor, instead of just being a normal person who has a normal alien person there was nothing special about them, they just decided, you know what, I have the ability, I'm going to help everybody. No, it turns out they're Space Jesus now. And,
this is when they made that shift. Okay.
Yeah, and so instead of just being a normal person who always saved the day and was great because of their deeds, no, it turns out that the Doctor is the chosen one, and it's kind of fucking stupid. It makes me really mad. But Doctor Who has survived the 6th Doctor being very stupid and made a lot of people mad. It has survived the 8th Doctor being very stupid and made a lot of people mad. And the 8th Doctor has ended up being my favorite. So I look forward to 30 years from now when the 13th Doctor has her audio dramas on Big Finish and they turn her around. But other than that, I'm just really excited for the Steam Deck, and that's my week.
Oh, yes. I reserved a Steam Deck as well.
Yeah, I'm going to reserve mine tomorrow because the first 48 hours is scalper proof. So I want to get in before the scalpers start scalping, but late enough in it so that I'm far enough down the queue that I don't have to miss my shot in December when they're all ready. It'll be past tax time when I actually have the money to buy it. So I want to get in before it's impossible, but I don't want to get in right away because I'll have to say no and then
you don't want to get in where it's not financially viable.
Yeah. So
Makes
I'm
sense.
getting my thing in tomorrow, and hopefully that'll put me. Hopefully it'll put me like right in the middle of March when I get all my tax return, but at the very least, put me sometime next year. But I really, really want one. Like,
yeah, me too.
Since watching all of IGN's videos and reading the things this morning, like so many more things, I'm like, no, this exactly answers all of my all of the walls in between me and playing the games that I want to play, because like a lot of games I have on Steam, so why would I buy them again on Switch? Because I don't have the money to just be buying the same game all the time. Where it's like, oh, I have him on PS5, but like Summer's hanging out in the room, and I worked long hours today, so I want to be close to Summer. So like I can't go be playing on the PS5. I need to be here. It's like, no, like because it's a PC, I can install Game Pass and PS5 Remote Play and all of the emulators I want to. So now I can play all of my games literally from this one device if I so choose. And
nice.
It's going to be great, and I'm super excited for it.
I'm super fucking stoked. I can't wait.
Yeah. But speaking of things that I can't wait about, let's talk about Anachronox, because this game is good, and I cannot wait to play more. But we're going to listen to some music. Kind of all sounds the same, so you probably won't know that it's something new. It's all good.
Very atmospheric.
Yeah. It's at least... It has more stuff going to it than Subterracore. There are more than 12 tracks in this game.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the plot. So when we last left our heroes, we got a size 5 helmet for Grumpos, and he acknowledged our detecting prowess, so he agreed to hire us as a bodyguard for his trip into the Mystek tunnels. As soon as we get outside, Fatima tells us that since the way to the tunnels is blocked by a Melfalden door lord, we have to find another way in. All over Anachronox is graffiti that says Eddie knows, and a lot of NPCs, if you talk to them all, have mentioned Eddie being an information broker. So Fatima tells us to try and find him. He might know another way into the tunnels. So we go talk to our friend Conrad, who tells us that Eddie is an amazing information broker because he knows everything going on in Anachronox, and he keeps track of everything constantly all the time, visualizes the whole of the planet in his mind at all times. Kind of drives him crazy, but that's why he's so good at his job. He tells us to follow this dude named Lucko Coldwolf to be able to find some more info on Eddie.
Good name for a character.
Yeah.
The names are growing on me. Like at first I thought Stiletto Anyway was a bad name, but everyone says that it's great.
Yeah,
we haven't met Stiletto yet.
Yeah.
But
also, I will say, Lucko Coldwolf, I think, now that we know what his deal is, he's more like Unlucko Coldwolf.
Yeah.
But so we make our way over to the Barton Arms pawn shop, which is where Lucko is, and we follow him at a distance all the way across the entirety of Anachronox.
Oh my god, it takes so long.
It's a long walk. And it's the part we haven't been to yet either, so it's like you're going in all these back tunnels and stuff, which is neat, but it does take a while.
And the only thing that I like about it is if Lucko sees you, Fatima is like, hey, he's noticing you, go and hide. And not, you instantly have to start all the way over.
Yeah.
This game has a lot of mini-games because, remember, this is an answer to Final Fantasy VII, and Final Fantasy VII has the most mini-games in any RPG. But unlike the ones in Final Fantasy VII, these are trivially easy, and it's just a fun way to get...
easy. Also, fun fact is, before this one starts, they actually save for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this, but yeah, this is the part in the game when this happens, right? Where you see the guy, and then I think Grumpo says, okay, we gotta be really careful. I went ahead and touched the time minder on the way here. So the character off screen saved our game for us in universe, which is really funny. But even so, I got it on the first try because it's impossible to lose.
Yeah.
If you get too close, the game just says, "Hey, back up, buddy," and then you do.
Yeah. And it's great. So when we eventually get to a diner deep in the Anachronox Tours area of the bricks, and inside we see that Lucko is talking not to Eddie, but to someone else. I don't remember his name. The Let's Play has their subtitles off, so I do not remember what his name is. But,
I wrote it down. I was still taking notes at this point before I decided I couldn't do it anymore and asked you. His name is Charlie.
Charlie. So he's talking to some dude named Charlie. He runs a go-between service where he gets info from Eddie and then he sells it as his own at a markup. We threaten him and he's like, look, I don't want any trouble. Eddie lives in the junkyard. Just when you go to see him, make sure you bring something chewy and stinky as payment.
I hate this so much. I truly do.
This part's gross.
It's real bad.
Even in these like really low res 3D graphics, everything about this is gross and terrible.
Oh, I hate it so much.
Oh,
so
like I was eating at the time when we got to the part, and yeah, it was not a good decision.
Oh, gross. So Fatima tells us that she found a Facebook post this morning by a guy who works at the Fountain Spiral that says,
This game predicted Facebook.
Yes. They wouldn't give me no workman's comp, so I've been out of work. Ain't even got me a change of clothes. The sock on my infected foot is all stinky and chewy from the pus.
No. Oh,
I hate it.
God, I hate it so much. Expect to hear me screaming in anguish a lot tonight, because there was just... so much gross shit.
We make our way to the Fountain Spiral. If you're me, you're really tired and you get really frustrated because he's not at the Fountain Spiral. He's at Sordo's, the new area that opened up close to the Fountain Spiral.
I didn't know that Sean Connery was in this game.
And so we find the guy with the limp and we buy the sock from him in a really funny cutscene. Because how do you ask somebody if you can buy their
disgusting sock. Yeah.
They're like slowly trying to like beat around the bush like, hey, how's it going? So like, you know, there's like we heard like you had an accident and like you got this sock and like can we have it?
And it's so gross. So
fucking squeamish. Like this whole part, like you know that feeling. It's kind of like anxiety when you see something that just really like makes your skin crawl and like your stomach do flip-flops and shit. And yeah, like I had that throughout this entire playthrough this week.
Yeah.
And I'm getting it again now, and it's awful.
So
keep making horrible whimpering noises.
I kept thinking this reminded me of something, and I realized what it is. It's that SNL sketch where in the movie theater, the Can I Have Your Number sketch that we all watched a million times in high school.
I didn't watch
the guy is asking for a girl's number in a movie theater in a really annoying way. He's like, can I have it?
I think I know the one you're talking about, yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's the whole bit. It's just, what if a guy was annoying? Which is one of the fundamental types of humor.
What if a guy was annoying?
What if a guy was annoying?
I ask myself that all the time.
There's like five fundamental elements of humor, and it's like, what if a guy, and when I say a guy, of course I mean guy in the gender neutral term. What if a guy, although it is often funny if it's a guy, sometimes. What if a guy got hurt in a funny way? What if a thing was bigger than it normally is? What if a thing was very much smaller than it normally is?
Yeah.
What if a guy was annoying?
What if something exploded out of the blue for no reason?
That's true. That's also
or
one.
burst into flames.
Yeah, that's also good.
One of those.
Although I think that's usually paired with what if a guy got injured. Though you're correct. It's not exactly the same. I feel like there's actually one more fundamental type of humor.
On Hyper, you said if a person has a funny voice.
Oh yeah, what if a person has a funny voice? That's the other one. Or what if a person looks, sounds, or moves in a funny way, and not in a way that is like disparaging of anybody, like Ministry of Silly Walks, right? So those are the in case for any humorists out there. You don't need to write jokes, okay? You don't need to be clever. Setup, payoff, no. They have played us for fools. We have never needed setup or payoff. All you need is a thing too big, thing too small, guy talk funny, guy get hurt, and guy is annoying. That's all you need.
That's all you need. So, we make our way to the Junkyard, which is our first mini dungeon. It's basically just a lot of fights in a hallway, but it is non-trivial to navigate. Because while fights take place in the real world, and you can look at and see where you are while the fights are taking place, you still get a full screen battle results, and the camera cuts during the full screen battle results to then be behind your character again. So I feel like I never know where I'm going when I get out of a battle, and because there's so many battles here, and it's not a straight hallway, it's a curlicue hallway, I got turned around a whole lot.
Yeah.
But, so we barge into Eddie's office, skipping everyone in the really long line, and we demand answers, and he demands payment first. And so we're like, nope, we don't even know, like, if you're the real deal. We're not giving you this sock. And, but then Eddie mentions Fatima, so Boots is like, okay, you obviously know your shit. Here's the sock. So Eddie eats the sock, and we have to watch. And he animatedly chews the sock,
for a
we have to watch.
Long time. Like, way longer. Like, time slowed down when this happened. It was so gross and uncomfortable and just...
It's yucky, it's gross.
I don't like it. Why did you make me play this game? Please tell me there's going to be no more of this shit.
I have not played it, so I can't.
I know you don't know. I just mean like the audience, like someone who's played Anachronox, email us because no one uses our email.
Yes,
and tell me if it continues to be fucking gross, so that I can prepare myself emotionally.
Yes. So he tells us that the Mephodon Doorlord has a secret that relates to his brother. And we're like, cool, what's the secret? We'll blackmail him. And he's like, no. All you need to do is say brother, but like wink at him, and it'll be enough, and he'll let you get past.
I love the Doorlord, by the way.
Me too.
He's great.
So do y'all know the backstory behind Doorlords?
No, and you said you were going to tell us. So
yeah,
tell us.
It was going to be one of my mem-moms last week, but then we didn't get there. In NPC, I talked to a lot of NPCs in this game, and they all give you just oodles of world lore, which makes notes a little bit hard to take because sometimes I worry that this is actually part of the plot, you know? And I mean, like, you know, the line between world building and part of the plot is fuzzy, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, it turns out Doorlords are like... They're raised from birth, like genetically altered and raised to be guards their whole lives. And like, I think it's to the point where like when they're in the womb, darn it, did I delete it? I think I may have cleared my notes from last time, which had this on them. Hold on. Where is it? Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have done that. That's a dumb thing to have done. But yeah, like when they're like in the womb, if they like hear an unfamiliar voice, they'll like start kicking and hollering, like inside while they're not even born yet. Like they're literally just like designed to be guards. And I got it. I remember now. I have a picture of it on my phone. I'll tell you all later. Go on.
Okay. So
yeah, they're weird. Is the point.
So we head all the way back to the tenements area where the Doorlord is guarding the door to the Mystic Tunnels. We mention his brother, and he's like, oh, wow, you're really good at blackmail. So not gonna we're just going to sweep this under the rug. But because I'm a door lord, I genetically am not allowed to leave from the spot that I'm guarding.
I love it.
But I can tell you that there's a hole in the wall right underneath my feet, so you can just go under the bridge and get in. So we do that. We make our way through the second dungeon of the week, which was when I started to really like the battle system in this game. I just wish that the animations were faster, but that's basically every early 3D game is animations were slow because they were slow. But I did a whole lot of like moving around the battlefield and dodging things and planning out my turns and like getting the groove of stuff. Still wish that it was a menu and I didn't have to click on the buttons, but what can you do? But
here it is, just a little bit. While they're still in the room, they're taught to keep watch over their mother while she sleeps, and they listen while the mom's sleeping. And if there's danger, they kick and wake their mom up.
That's cool, but nuts.
Yeah.
We're basically really shitty Spartans.
Yeah, in a sense. That's the screenshot that I got of it.
So in this dungeon, there's a boat mini game. It's kind of hard compared to the others, but if you lose, you can be like, dang, you blew up, and the boat blew up while you were still on it, and so you died. And you can have a, can I try again? Or a, can you just pretend that I won the mini game? And you can click that one, and then it just puts you at the end of the mini game because you can just pretend that you won.
Extremely good.
It's amazing. That's good user experience right there.
Yes.
At the end of this dungeon, there is a boss fight that is really, really easy because if you read its movements, it's trivial to take no damage, and he heals himself every other turn, but he heals himself for 150, and Grumpos with his new staff that he got in this dungeon was dealing 300 on his own, and Boots was dealing like 175. So in between his 150 heals, he was taking like 750 damage. So you just kind of do the thing and win. But I still liked it, even if it was trivial.
It was especially trivial for me because Grumpos and Sly were doing like 700 damage by that point.
Yeah, it was fine and chill for me too.
Yeah. But so we do the thing and then we win. And I think it would have been cool if there was like mooks or something that it would like make dodging him be harder, but
like standing on the platforms or something so you couldn't move there.
Yeah, so you'd have to like
make it a little more interesting, yeah.
Like, there's one in my way. I need to, instead of attacking the big guy, I need to take this one. So it would be like a risk reward situation. But here it's just do the thing it needs you to do on every turn. So after the fight, we make our way down the tunnel and we find a weird stone on the floor. The stone isn't Mystech, but it's made of Mysterium. And as Grumpos and Boots they take it and they start to walk away from the tunnels, they run into Deja and a bunch of his thugs. Deja is kind of the Jabba the Hutt of the area. A lot of people have talked about him doing that. He is the boss of the dude that kicked our ass at the beginning of the game, who is also there to kick our ass some more. Deja demands the stone. Grumpos is like, I don't have it. And Deja goes to is basically like, oh, I'm going to kill you and take it anyways. So Boots takes the stone from Grumpos and gives it to Deja. Deja threatens to kill Boots if the money that he owes him isn't given to him by, I think it was that Friday. So Grumpos is pretty upset that Boots would turn over something that valuable. But Boots is like, it wasn't my job to get you a stone. My job was to be your bodyguard through the tunnels. He was going to kill you if you didn't give it to him. Me stealing it from you was me saving your life. And Grumpos is like, fine, whatever. But if you hang out and stick around with me, I have a business proposition for you. We can go to the planet Sunder, where we can meet this other scientist who's also interested in Mystech, and she's doing similar tests that Grumpos is. So if they bump their heads together, work together, they can figure out the secrets of Mistech, sell it, make a lot of money. They'll be filthy stinking rich. Boots agrees because he has no other money prospects. So they decide to head to Cinder Station, where they can catch a shuttle out to Sunder. So we now head back out to the Anachronox tour section of the bricks, and along the way, you can finally get the batteries for PAL if you want to, and so you can go get a third-party member, and I did that, and I love him, except his voice acting is real bad.
Like, it is. It's terrible.
Really
horribly
quite
bad. It's as if Meatwad was doing a Gur impression, but without the charm of either of those voices.
Yeah.
Like, I love Meatwad's voice and I love Gur's voice, but doing them at the same time was just bad. And
not a good choice, no.
No, but his writing is great, and I love him. So, at the tours, there's a cute scene for both Grumpus and Pal. Pal can talk to a robot there who's preaching the evils of robot slavery, and he makes some incredibly valid points and gives Pal a weapon to use for when he decides to turn on us, which I think is great.
I love that scene.
Then Grumpus has a scene where you can use his Yammer ability to talk the ear off of a guy that can't decide between what tickets to get, and so he talks his ear off, makes the guy like give up.
Which is the first time I managed to actually use this skill. Did y'all manage to use this skill before this point?
I used Yammer in a fight, but...
Yeah, I used the fight version, but not...
Yeah, I tried using it to, like, you know, like NPCs or something, like, what does this do? But I had yet to find a use for it.
Yeah, there was a guard, like, blocking the way somewhere, and I thought, oh, this will be it. Like, I'll talk the ear off on the guard, and then that lets me get past. But no, it's not obvious when to use it. But, so,
I think, based on the guide that I've been using, I think that's the first time that you really get to use it.
Okay. Maybe it'll start cropping up more.
Yeah.
But, a lot of games, when they have somebody that talks a lot, they take off there, they put it on the text boxes on autoplay, so it goes by so fast you can't read it. But this one, no, it lets you read the entire thing, and it is a rant on the evils of capitalism, specifically through the company OneGate, and it's actually really great, and I love it. There's a lot of good lore there. But so you talk the guy's ear off, he moves out of the way. You can buy your tickets to the station, so you head on out, go to the station, which is where we saved for the week. So let us listen to some other music, and then we'll talk about our memorable moments.
Actually have some memorable moments.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I wrote them down for once in my fucking life.
All right, then you go first. What do you have?
Okay, great. So, after you get the helmet, it's like a Babel fish, so you can talk to the Brebulans, however it's pronounced, and find out what they're saying. And so, like, there's one Brebulan, who a guard is threatening. The Brebulan says something like, "Oh, do whatever. My skin is tough enough to handle it." And the guard says, "And how about I run you into the station and hook you up to the old suponic combine?" To which the Brebulan responds, "Oh no, not the tickle machine."
Nice.
Let's see. I don't even remember this scene, but I I wrote this down. I wrote Boots telling Conrad about the sick cat as if that's info he wants is hilarious. Oh, because when he first starts talking to Conrad and Conrad's like, I want info. Boots is like, I hear some stuff about a sick cat. He's trying to get away with whatever. Doesn't work in his favor. I also, so the guide that I have has been integrating side quests into it. And so, like, I've done some of them just, like, as natural progression along with the guide. And one of the things is it wants you to take photographs of these things called bipedries. And because there's a guy who is really fascinated by them and says, like, oh, there's some super rare ones that are actually red. And if there's like 8 of them in the entire universe, and if you could find all of them and bring me pictures, I'd be so happy. And at one point he tells you, whatever you do, don't call the bipedries bippies, because that's offensive. But bippies is adorable, and I'm calling them that.
Wow.
I can't believe
I know.
There's our heated gaming moment of the week.
Yeah, controversial
from
opinion.
Eli of all people.
I'm gonna be canceled after this. I know it for using the B word. Bippies. Grumpos's Yammer skill is fucking hilarious in battle. Like, so he literally starts just like babbling and yammering, like he's making all these like old man noise, and he's saying something over it that's completely incomprehensible while also making old man noises. Random symbols start shooting out of his mouth. He shows up on one side of the screen, and then he shows up on another side of the screen, and then he like shows up right in the middle of the screen. His face is like right there, and it's really, really funny to watch every time. If only it didn't take so long, I would use it every single fight because it's hilarious.
Yeah, and all it does is it stuns them for one turn, which it's way too long of an animation just to get a stun, but I would use it all the time if I could.
I'm going to curse us all to hear this line. I've got a sock that eats like a meal. God, Boots, why? Oh, hate it. Hate it so much.
Yeah, well, I've got a meal that eats like a sock. Actually, I can just say, honestly, I can just put words together. I can do it too.
Yeah, honestly, after all that, a meal that eats like a sock is just as bad, like contextually. And then the last thing was that I noticed that all the elevators have little slogans on them that cycle through.
Yes,
while you have the window open.
They're so good.
Yeah, so these were some of the ones that I particularly liked, and thought were interesting. Descend with distinction, large and roomy. Come on and ride us, which is just great. Riding Corticom style, 2 choices, up and down. And everyone can't be wrong, which suggests to me that this is a monopoly. This is the only way to ride the elevators, is the Corticom way. Yeah, I thought those were great, and I like sat there and watched them for a while as they scrolled through just to see all the different ones.
That's amazing.
That's all I got.
All right, so speaking of talking to the aliens and really gross stuff, so in the diner, one of the scenes there's a Berlubin or whatever eating like a literal pile of shit with tentacles hanging out of it.
I took a picture of it. It's disgusting.
It's super disgusting. And so if you talk to him, he says, "Oh man, they forgot my goiter sauce," which is just.
That was it. That was one other that I had, because that word came up again, and it's at the end of Grumpos's yammer with the guy in front of the ticket booth. He says, I took a screenshot, and that's why I forgot that I had it. He says, "Can you deny it?" can you look me in the face and say peanuts and monkey farts, as my sister was keen on saying? This was back before the sudden appearance of a goiter on her, and then it cuts off.
Gross.
Yeah.
What about you, Maddy? Do you have...
let's
some?
see. If you go to one of the area where you can get a ship to exit, but you can go there earlier. I was just exploring, so I got there, and Fatima was like, "Buddy, you can't go anywhere until you completed your tasks." There's a guy named Captain Baja, and he just says, "Hast seen the white whale?" And I'm like, that's, it's like, Captain Ahab, Moby Dick. Is this going to be some kind of extended bit? But unlike every other NPC in this game, he just has that one line of dialogue. He's asking me if I've seen the white whale, and I'm like, I haven't. So stay tuned to see if they develop this into like a fun little subplot, or just a cute little thing that you can notice, or if it's just a single line of dialogue. And someone had the job of writing some NPC dialogue, and they couldn't think of anything, so they thought, I don't know, I just read Moby Dick, so what if this guy's after a white whale? Kind of underwhelming as far as Moby Dick references go, but that is my brand, so I have to mention it.
Speaking of single text boxes, did you talk to the prophet?
I don't think so.
Okay, so there in the Anachronox tours, like right before you get onto the ship, there's a guy like street preaching, and he says, "We have no past, we have no future. We are forever frozen in this brief moment of time, forced to repeat ourselves in a vicious loop. If you doubt me, listen to yourselves. Try and say anything besides the one or two meaningless lines that you've been granted." So then, I missed the first line. The first line is, "We're all just puppets in a game. There's no point to our existence except for the few pointless words put into our mouths." And one of the guys watching, his name is Patrick, and he goes, "He's crazy. I've got plenty to say." And if you talk to him again, he says, He's crazy. I've got plenty to say.
Oh, I love a good fourth wall break.
It's so
a good diegetic fourth wall break is just...
Yeah.
Yeah, and also it ties into the whole, like, I don't know, like, there could be time-wise stuff going on as far as I know, like with the time winders seeing all of existence at once, or the time minders. I'm just like, maybe there's something here, or it's just a silly joke. Last week I was wondering if you use the camera for anything, or if it's just for fun, and as we've already heard, you do use it for things. I found this out as well, because one of the side quests in this game is Nox, a grumble guard, which I don't think is a type of thing. It probably just means a guard what grumbles. If you talk to a cop, he says, "Hey, we're gonna go round up some." He's being super racist against Brebulons, and he's like, "We hate Brebulons; they're no good. We're gonna be rounding them up soon. So if you can take a picture of 5 different Brebulons in the bricks, I'll give you 100 loonies a head, and make sure you fit their whole bodies in the frame." Did you already mention this?
I didn't mention it, but I have done it.
Oh, okay. I was worried that maybe I'd spaced out or something.
No.
Yeah. So he's like, "Hey, but here's the thing. 500 loonies is pretty good. But I'm not gonna fucking give pics of Brebulons to the cops. I'm not doing that. That's stupid. So I didn't do this side quest. But that is theoretically a side quest that you can do.
I'm a bastard. I did that one.
So I helped the cops by tattling on people, but not with that side quest. I did it where there's one where he's like, "Hey, there's people being dangerous on the road."
Oh, the motorcycle dude.
Take a picture of the dude on a red motorcycle. He's been like nearly causing accidents all day, and we need to catch him. So I hate people who drive motorcycles. They do almost always cause accidents. So I gladly turned my ass around, waited for him, and this motherfucker is like doing like corkscrew spinnies diving through traffic. And so I gladly took a picture of him and gave it to him. Guy. Just so everyone knows the real politics, I will still never call the cops on anyone and not do it, because because you're an asshole doing spinny flips on your motorcycle and causing accidents, you do not deserve to be given over to the death squads.
Yeah,
I do not.
Don't do spinny flips on your motorcycle.
Yes.
Don't do that. In addition to that, there's this guy you can talk to who is going on and on and on about janglers. And I'm like, what the heck are janglers? And then he says that basically janglers are just, they're not just undercover cops. Man, I gotta do a better job screenshotting these things. What'll happen is it won't be until the second or third page of a dialogue exchange that I realize it's interesting and I'd like to take a picture of it. So I'm gonna take a picture of it and then I don't have whatever happened before that, right? And I'm just like hoping I'll remember it. Anyway, janglers are basically undercover cops. But there is something special about them. I forget what. Oh, that's right. They're undercover mobsters working for what's his name, Deja. So that's what they are. That's what janglers are. And there's actually a number of references to janglers in the NPCs. But this guy explains what they are. He says they're undercover Deja operatives. And he says you'll never know when you're talking to a jangler. It could be anyone. It could be regular people like you and me. And if you talk to him a bunch of times, he pretty much finishes his dialogue. But if you keep talking, he's like, why are you continuing to talk to me? And if you talk to him like 3 more times, he's just like, why are you talking to me so much? What are you trying to know? Are you a jangler? And then after that point, he's like, stop talking to me, jangler. Which is cute. Makes sense, actually, because we're just some guy. Why are we talking to him as much? There's also a minigame. Did y'all do the shell spin minigame?
I didn't. Not. I kept coming across it because I kept forgetting the NPC that did it.
So this guy named Combo says, "Sir, a challenge to the detective eyes. Only one loony away. Keep eye on Bongo and earn triple the bet." And he shows you 3 different little seashells. One of which presumably has something under it. You can say, "You're on. Spin them bongos." Or you can say, like I'm going to fall for your little hustle, take it to mama. When you do that, it then shows you an item underneath one of the shells, and then it, does the mix-up. And once it's over, you pick the shell. It's really easy to follow which one is which, but then when you pick it, it's not there. So this man is in fact a swindler. So after playing a couple of times, what I did was I very intentionally tracked which one it was supposed to be, and then just randomly picked a different one. Like the one it was supposed to be was one on the left, and I just picked the one in the middle, and I got it right. And the guy said a line of dialogue that I didn't get, where he pretty much said something like, I see you're a really, really good detective because you didn't trust your eyes. Now, is there a trick that allows you to actually figure this out, or is it just luck? I mean, if you're picking the one that it isn't, then that would be 50-50, right? Whether there's a better way, I don't actually know, but yeah, so very common minigame, except that actually it's cute because the guy is tricking you, which I really liked. I actually, the first time I talked to this NPC, I accidentally talked to him as a Grumpo, and when you talk to him as Grumpo, he's like, hey, bugger off, old guy, we don't take advantage of the elderly. So before I even talked to him as main character, I already was like, oh, they're taking advantage of people. That's funny. They're like, no, we're not going to swindle you, old man. So that was neat. I liked that. Other than that, just lots of world building. If you go into there's like a building that's it's like a museum. And inside the museum is tons of world lore. Most of it washed over me like a cool breeze. I don't recall a damn lick of it. It's pretty typical stuff. This place was built ancient a long time ago. We don't know what it's for, who built it or whatever. We do find out that everyone died of whoever lived there before probably died of a plague. And the plague is called Anachronox. So Anachronox,
time poison or whatever.
Poison from the past is what the scientist translates it as. So not any the anachro part doesn't mean anything special. It just means it was the poison from a long time ago. Although again, maybe the game will have some interesting plots in that regard. But yeah, so the ancient civilization that lived here died of a terrible plague. Again, there was a lot more lore that I just did not care. Part of the reason why was because I was currently trying to find the stinky sock guy. So I was like, as soon as it became clear that an NPC was not telling me where Sneaky Sock Guy was, I was just click. Or I think I actually was reading it, but I was just like, I'm like, instead of reading what they were saying, I was scanning what they were saying to see if there's any mention of a Sneaky Sock Guy. Basically. I thought of going back there later and actually reading the lore for real after I achieved my quest, but I didn't get around to it, so. But yeah, it was pretty cool. That is... final thing, whenever you're following Lucko, it actually does, like, yeah, it takes forever, but it is a cool little in-game cutscene thing where Lucko actually does a lot of stuff while you're following him. He, like, buys food from a little stall, he gets into an argument with some guy, he clearly makes some kind of, like, exchange of, like, money for, like, some kind of mysterious briefcase, and if you talk to one of the guys that he talks to after he's gone, they're like, oh, stay away from that Lucko guy. He's in a lot of trouble right now. And it's very clear that they were probably just, like, making him do something, so they, like, get off of his back. I think he has, like, a ton of debt or something like that. So, yeah, you get this little narrative about this guy. And it's mostly pretty ill-defined. It's pretty much just abstract, but you do get to follow and see it all happen. And, they're really pulling out all the stops of 2001 era game design tools. Doing in-game scripted scenes, doing all the kind of cool stuff with the cutscenes, having all the mini games, the works.
Speaking of NPCs just doing random stuff, I don't think we brought this up last week, but before you could get into the Casinox area, like toward the Anachronox tours, there was a guard standing there, but if you waited around long enough and watched, there's some dude running around on fire. He's, like, screaming his head off. And he's just
talk about
like,
that last week?
I don't think we did.
No, I this is the first time hearing of it.
Yeah, he's on fire the entire time. He'll run by screaming, and then he'll run back, and he, like, makes a loop, and he's just in flames the entire time. I want to know what the fuck that was about, but it's never explained. At least not as far as I could tell.
Oh, I don't know either, but yeah, no, that was last week, and it was. I thought I mentioned it. I guess I didn't. Anyway, no, it's real good. Yeah,
if you did, I was not paying attention.
No, I probably just forgot to. But yeah, this game again, it's just like, it's not actually a parody, but it kind of comes off sometimes as like, you know, Futurama, because of its ill-defined world building and lore, like every episode they just have a new sci-fi thing they've invented. And it's like, oh, they have time travel. Oh, they also have, like, they also have genetic engineering. Oh, they all, like, every single sci-fi trope you can possibly think of is in some episode of Futurama. And they don't care how it all fits together. That's not the point. That's kind of how this game is. Like, this game is like, they read a bunch of cyberpunk, they read a bunch of dystopian literature, they read a bunch of space opera, they read a bunch of, like, or watched a bunch of, like, Star Trek, Star Wars, Stargate, Farscape, Battlestar Galactica, like a bunch of noir, every single thing imaginable, and they just put it all in the game. So this is just like, why is the guy running around on fire? I don't know. It's a dystopian hell world. Why wouldn't a guy be running around on fire? You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Super Mario Bros. The movie.
Oh,
It's just like, how come these cars are all, like, electric powered, and if you land on top of them, you'll shock yourself to death, and also they don't have brakes, famously. So in order to brake, you have to drive into, like, a cable that slows your car down. So every time you drive a car anywhere, you just crash it into the place you want to go. It's just like, I don't know, because this is just like a pastiche of a hardcore, like, extreme, like, Mad Max world. But, like, as
also, you can't stop in Mario Kart. Except by letting go of the button, I guess.
There you go.
That was the only thing that I could think of.
But yeah,
was Mario Kart even out then?
Yeah, actually, that's the thing. I actually am not sure, but if it was, that would be interesting. I'm not sure.
Find out.
I'm not actually sure, but at any rate, yeah, this game is just like, we're just going to throw, like, every single thing, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't go together at all. But we're not doing it as a joke. We're serious. It's cute. It's fun.
Yeah,
Mario Kart came out in 92.
Mario movie was 93, right?
Yes. So
There you
it was out a year before the Mario movie.
It could have been an extremely oblique reference to Mario Kart.
Probably not, but I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt and think that that's what they were going for.
But this game is not a parody, but it does have its campiness dialed up all the way to the top, and it's very like you said, they just squeezed everything in, and the reasoning is because it's cool or because Star Wars did it or whatever. And I noticed a bunch of times this week where I would think it was an item, because this game doesn't do treasure chests, and they should, because the items don't look like crap on the floor. And if I didn't have my high-res textures, which made them pop out like a fucking SpongeBob episode, then I wouldn't know that they were interactable. But I will oftentimes think that it's an item, and I'll go over, and it'll just be like a tiny alien, like taking a shower in a steam vent right there. And like the game is old, so there's not a lot of actors like on the screen at any time anyways. So the fact that they like wasted 2 whole 3D models just to have this little alien taking a shower in a steam vent, because in Star Wars they would have a little alien doing something silly right there, so why wouldn't they do it here? And it's the way I described it sounded disparaging, but it's actually not. It's actually like earnest, and I really, really like it.
Yeah, it's dope. Can't wait to play an extremely tiny amount of it next week.
Hell yeah! So we're going. So last time we were supposed to leave Anachronox, and we stopped at an earlier spot. So this and then this episode we were supposed to stop at before we left for the Hive, and we stopped at an earlier spot. So we're going to keep doing that and keep getting 2 episodes ahead of ourselves. So next week we are going to try and make it all the way to the Hive. The game does pick up the pace from here on out, according to the Let's Play. So it'll probably...
We might encounter an inciting incident.
Yes. So we will probably be able to get a lot more done per week going forward. But like I said at the top of the hour, if this ends up being 14 really small, easy episodes for me and Maddy, then that's fine, because we have a lot of irons in our fires.
Whatever.
Who gives a shit? But if you want to give a shit and give us money, you can go to www.rpgbook.club, and there you can donate, help us keep the lights on, help us pay for the games that we play, help me and Eli pay for our Steam Decks. Just kidding. I would say I would say that you could commission an episode, but unfortunately, again, within hours of me opening commissions to the public, somebody went in and commissioned an episode. And this time...
Really? Did you share this already? Did I miss this?
Yes, you must have missed this. But, so, our first commission, good friend Francesco, commissioned a visual novel. It's RPG adjacent. So it's like, okay, it makes sense. The RPG Book Club would do a visual novel for the week. That's great. Bernard did Dandy Dungeon, which is a puzzle game that's in love with RPGs. It is very, very, very RPG adjacent.
Oh,
like,
no.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. So Omega, they requested for us to play SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom.
That's why y'all were talking about that.
Yeah.
Is it easily available?
It just came out on Switch.
Well,
so.
there you go.
All right,
Yeah.
great.
So
I'm going to go ahead and say it. Let's do this one after The Last of Us.
Yeah, I think I'm going to need a palate cleanser between The Last of Us and Final Fantasy 13. So we'll do it sometime around then. So yeah, go to our
That'll
website.
be our Christmas episode. Don't ask why that makes sense. Make it make sense.
And in a couple of months, you will be able to do commissions. But this time you missed it because somebody jumped on that the moment you opened it up for fucking SpongeBob.
Bless you, Omega.
Really impressed that
they're a very good friend.
They snapped it up. They snapped it up so quick, and they decided that we were playing SpongeBob. I just like what I'm so curious about the reason behind that, and like.
So
maybe because of the Nickelodeon fighting game getting announced, which looks dope, by the way.
It really does. But so what the way it happened, as I can understand it, is they were like, oh, like, what are the rules for commissions? Like, I don't want to pick a game that you guys don't want to play, or blah blah blah. And I was like, there basically are no rules. He goes, or they go, okay, so what about Golden Sun? I was like, well, Golden Sun is, yes, technically one game that's 20 hours long, but it's only the first half of the game. You have to play at least the first two, if not all three, to get the whole thing. That's more of a long cast thing. And they're like, okay, well, what about this game, this game, this game? And we're naming a bunch of like full-ass RPGs. And I was like, no, it needs to be like a smaller thing so we can get it done in one or two episodes. This basically, commissions were designed to be where we play all of the action RPGs, because all action RPGs are like 9 hours long. So go get one of those. And they were like, okay, cool. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, the action RPG of our time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I'm down.
Look forward to that. But,
Yes.
Other things you can do while you're there is you can get access to our Book Club no Kiseki episodes. We are on the second episode right now of the second game, and things are exciting. I'm looking forward to playing a lot of that one. Matt is doing the notes for the second season, and it's so refreshing hearing people's written jokes that aren't mine or Maddy's or Eli's written jokes, and just hearing new jokes is a great time. So come listen to those new jokes with me.
The bits.
But you also can purchase merchandise there. I just opened up a merch store and had a bunch of orders right off the front, but haven't had any in a while. So go and buy our shirts. You can have the various logos on a t-shirt. You can also get a surprisingly really nice looking phone case, where the case itself is clear, but on the back it has our Persona 3 looking logo down at the bottom, and it's really cool. So you can show off the color of your phone and or your stickers or whatever you have on the back of your phone with a RPG Book Club thing on it as well. So, yeah, those are all the different ways that you can donate to our Steam Decks. I mean, to the podcast.
Look, Steam Deck is going to make it way easier for me to play games for the podcast, honestly.
Very true. Basically, the Steam Deck opens up PS2 games for Eli, because Eli doesn't have a PS2 game machine. But yeah, so other than that, there, as always, is links on our website to our Discord, where you can come and hang out with us and listen to these episodes live as we record them. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I'm Maddy Grace Webbin.
Toodaloo, folks.
Goodbye.
I just did the thing I told you I wouldn't do, which is make myself a speaker. I'm into request to become a speaker.
Well, hi, Bernard.
Hello.
I just wanted to say sorry for keeping Maddy so late.
It's okay. We don't like her anyways.
She was very helpful. Okay, I'll leave now. There's someone that says exit quietly, and I think that's great.
Get the fuck out of here.
Well, now we know what we're going to have for the intro and outro of this episode.
That's right.